What's up, guys? I wanted to make a video today because there's some interesting information that came out today via MMO Champion. I wanted to go over it with you really quick because everyone's been asking me what classes to play in 5.4, what spec of mage to play in 5.4 for PvE content, and this is the big news that I've been waiting for before I made this video. This was just data mined from MMO Champion today. Get the hell out of here. Okay, this is just in, so this is from today. Like, this is the brand new thing that came out. And fire got nerfed decently. Okay, here's the biggest reason why. Presence of mind. When activated, your next mage spell cast with blah 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 blah, and is unaffected by alter time. Most of you are thinking, oh, okay, well, it's whatever. It's not on the global cooldown. It's unaffected by alter time. Well, right now it's affected by alter time. Okay. Right now, what you can do is you get your pyroblast proc, you get your heating up proc. So you've got the big parentheses and the little parentheses, and then you've got your trinkets up. Then you pop your macro where your presence of mind, alter time, pyroblast. So you're slamming out pyro, 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 pyro. And then as soon as all your pyros are done and all your banked pyros are done, all your instant pyros are done, you click your button one more time, your macro one more time, and it brings you back up to the pyroblast, the heating up, and the presence of mind. So you could spam another couple of pyroblasts before hitting your combustion. Okay. Without that being able to happen, what that means is, especially with the way that the tier set works. Okay, here's what's going to happen. Is right now your tier set is every time you pyroblast, you gain haste for 5 seconds, up to 750 haste for 5 seconds, and it stacks up to 5 times. So realistically, before you hit your combustion, you can have 5 stacks. Well, on the PTR, which I was playing around with before this nerf happened, what happened, guys, is you could, if you could get a couple pyroblasts, and then after your presence, and then on your second round of your alter time macro, you could get 4 or 5 different pyroblasts. What was happening, okay, was you could get to your 5 stacks, and it wasn't that difficult. And that extra 3,500 haste correlated into, 2 or 3 extra ticks off the base, okay, and that's not including anything else that you may have had up. So it gave you quite a bit of extra damage on your combustion, not to mention the fact that with the new trinket, with the amplification buff, with the 84% of your crit mastery and haste, having that up with all this stuff, and if you could get your meta gem in there as well, if the stars aligned for you, you saw fire just absolutely destroy everything. There was nothing that could touch fire if everything lined up, especially with that stacked with Wrath of the Darksphere trinket. Those 2 trinkets were, and again, they haven't said that those are going to go live. They're still testing them, and I think there's a reason for that, is because of the way that they work with percentage of stats. You might see those get changed a little bit too, but I was really waiting to do this video for this exact reason, because fire just got nerfed big time. Now, does this really make a difference for Arcane or for Frost? Not as much, guys. Really, if you think about it, most Frost mages that I know aren't taking Palm unless they really can't move. With Blink, I've seen a lot of them taking Ice Flows just because they can move, you know what I mean? They can go on the move. They have their instant cast, and then if for some odd reason they run out and they still have to move, they have Ice Flows, so they don't even have to stop. They can just keep going with their normal rotation. With the shortness of the cooldown, that's what I've been seeing a lot of Frost mages using. Blazing Speed, again, I've seen a lot of Arcane mages using Blazing Speed because you can get from point A to point B extremely quick. I especially, you can use those, you can use Presence of Mind on the other specs besides fire, but the problem is it really limits your mobility, whereas fire, having Scorch as a passive effect, really doesn't nerf your damage as much, at least in my estimation. So the other thing that they did, guys, is look at this, okay? This is the old glyph and the new glyph. What they did was, instead of the glyph increasing the direct damage, the duration of the dot, and the cooldown of combustion by 100%, it's now all by 50%. So what does that mean? It means that every 1.5 minutes, if you're glyph, you're going to do a combustion, but it's only going to be half as powerful as the one that you had. So the buff duration, it's going to last half as long. The cooldown's only half as long. Or is 50%, you know what I mean? And then the direct damage done. So what they've essentially done here is they've made it so instead of pooling for that monster combustion that just throws you atop of the meters and no one can ever catch you, what they've done is they've made it more of a almost a dot coming up. Now, it's obviously important to try to line it up with your cooldowns. The problem is with the RNG of fire as it is, bringing this cooldown down further may help or hinder you based on your trinket procs, based on different events, based on the different timings of the fight. Now, obviously, fire mages will get used to this. However, the presence of mind is a straight nerf to fire. Do not listen to what anyone else is saying. It is a straight nerf to fire for PvE. There is no way around that. Not having that backup to have that extra pyroblast is just another chance you have to not have it crit. And especially with the way that the two-piece works for fire, that's going to come into effect. I promise you it is. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about really quickly was keep in mind that this is just as of today. It is July 15th, so this could change before it goes live, and if it does, I'm sorry to tell you. But as of right now, guys, with these changes, you will probably be seeing a few more of the top mages going arcane. Fire still is going to be strong, especially if you can get those that trinket with the amplification buff, the 84% stat increase. Fire is still going to be very, very viable. It's still going to be a very, very strong spec, especially with the way that stats are, growing in 5.4, and especially the way that we scale with stats in 5.4. It is still going to be a strong spec. However, you will start to see more and more mages because Arcane is still untouched. We've gotten a buff to the mana gem, and that was all I could see, although I didn't know if they data mined that correctly. There was a possibility that was data mined incorrectly. I have not tested that. But as of right now, guys, Fire did take a little bit of a dip. It's not going to be a monster dip, okay, but it is going to, you are going to notice it. What you're going to notice is you're not going to get those humongous combustions because they nerfed combustion. It's not technically a nerf, it's just a duration nerf, but it's only up for half the time, it only does half the damage, but you get, an extra 30 seconds off the cooldown. Is it really worth it? We'll have to see in the end. I think what they're trying to do is smooth out the combustion damage by doing this. However, the presence of mind nerf is a nerf, so keep that in mind, guys, is that right now you might see a few more of the top-end mages maybe going to Arcane, just because of the 4-piece as well, the 4-piece being much stronger for Arcane than it is for Fire. The Fire 4-piece is not as strong, as Inferno Blast is already almost becoming one of those things that you don't use as often in your gameplay, and I think you're going to see it used even less as stats increase throughout the scaling of 5.4. And they have not nerfed CM, which, if they don't nerf CM, I really don't see that 4-piece being much good for Fire as compared to Arcane, having that extra chance for missiles. When I was testing this on the PTR, guys, that extra missile proc and having that 2-piece as well, that makes that for every stack of Arcane missiles, your next Arcane Blast, costs X amount, or 25% less mana per stack up to free. So if you can get your 4-piece going, and you can get lucky. I mean, there was times where I was literally staying at 4 stacks for quite a while and not falling below 85 to 87% mana. There was some very, very interesting play style there, changes that Blizzard has made. I really, really enjoy the way they're doing this. I think what they've done with the presence of Mind Nerf is bring Fire down to Arcane. I don't think it's worse than Arcane. I think it's still going to be good, but I think it's going to smooth out the damage a little bit more. You're not going to see those 1 million DPS bursts and then down to 300k until your next combustion. You're not going to see that. You still will see some Fire mages when the stars align just going batshit, you know what I mean? But for the most part, guys, just keep this in mind. As always, it could change. It's still on the PTR, but I wanted to bring you this video as soon as something major happened with mages, and today that happened. Hope you like this one, and as always,